1984's The Natural.
What a iconic film about a young prodigy that from Nebraska. It's the up and coming star, and he's wooed to the major leagues, and he gets detoured. I don't want to. You want me to give away the film's plot, or do you want me? Because I want people to watch these movies, but something happens to him that detours his career for 16 years, and he ends up back in the majors. But he's a 37-year-old, we think has been, but he has a lot left in the tank. Robert Redford is phenomenal in this. What I didn't know is that he had to learn a lot about playing baseball. When you watch some of these baseball films, you think they're natural athletes. I have a film coming up at number 5 that I'll tell you about. A lot of guys need to be trained in playing baseball. He had to learn the swing, the stance, but the way it was shot, the black and white, the film takes place probably early 40s. You saw the film, right, Dragon Movie Guy?
Yeah, I've seen The Natural. It is on my list as well. Yeah, great example of Robert Redford as a leading man and classic Hollywood storytelling and cinema. Yeah, I feel free, by the way, to do some spoilers if you want. If anyone's watching a video online about a baseball movie that happened 30 plus years ago, my guess is that they don't care as much about spoilers for a 40-year-old movie, a 35-year-old movie, and that they just love baseball. And honestly, if someone was spoiled by the time you're talking about 9 movies, I'm talking about 9 movies, by the time they actually go to watch the movie, they probably forgot what the spoiler was in the first place. So feel free to spoil away.
I'll spoil away. Barbara Hershey, tremendous actress, plays a Black Dahlia character who is known for killing people that are famous, and she shoots this guy. She shoots him in a hotel room. He thinks he's getting laid, and she shoots him. And then it fast forwards to 16 years later. Wilford Brimley plays the manager of the New York Knights. It's look. I don't
Quaker
like
Oats and the diabetes. The Quaker Oats and the diabetes.
Well,
love Wilford Brimley.
Yeah, I remember him in Cocoon. I mean, that was his coming out film in 1980. Again, 1984. Ron Howard's coming out to come to Jesus moment. But we could talk about those films all you want. That his character, the interaction between Wilford Brimley, the chemistry between him and Redford was terrific because Brimley never believed in the guy, and this kid just stuck. Robert Redford stuck by his, that hey, I could still play this game, and his heart and his determination. Glenn Close plays his childhood sweetheart. She has a nice role in the film. He finds out he has a kid by Glenn Close. You could tell how it ends, and it's a storybook ending. I mean, I've always had a crush on Kim Basinger from 9.5 Weeks. She's a female lead in this and has a crush on him. Who's the guy that wasn't a Night Stalker? Darren McGavin. Remember Darren McGavin's in the film?
Oh God, yeah. He was the dad in A Christmas Story.
Yeah. He's a big gambler, so they're gambling against the Knights making the playoffs or a bad baseball team. It's Major League Baseball. It's the movie's shot in the old Buffalo War Memorial Stadium. So they had that stadium. That's old Buffalo War Memorial Stadium was a big minor league park. In Buffalo, great sports city, the Bills and the Sabres, they're big in the minor league baseball. They eventually nowadays they should get a major league team. But it just the cinematography. I'll ask you because you're the movie guru. I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, and the visuals in The Natural are classic Hollywood magic. Shot on film, which of course in 1984 there wasn't digital yet, and thank God there wasn't digital back in 1984 because film looks better. Digital isn't at the point yet where digital looks as good as film, and there's a magic, the Hollywood magic, the celluloid quality to film, and film in this case shines when you're talking about Robert Redford and baseball and classic, beautiful, Hollywood leading ladies, Barbara Hershey and Glenn Close back in the day. This is, the visuals in this, and I'm putting up there too Wilford Brimley's mustache because Wilford Brimley in real life was actually an actual Navy SEAL. So the fact that he is everyone's classic uncle from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s. He is the uncle who's surly with the mustache, but he has the gravitas to pull it off, and he's not a mean person. It's just, he's the guy that doesn't put up with any guff. That word guff that no one uses nowadays, but Wilford Brimley is the guy that never puts up with any guff. So, yeah, Wilford Brimley is one of my other favorite parts of The Natural. My number 7 film is The Natural. This is a film that I think a lot of people would normally have higher on the list. This is considered an all-time classic baseball movie. Robert Redford, Wilford Brimley, across the board, brilliant performances. But if you look at the behind-the-scenes making of elements in this film, the filmmaking in the baseball stadium, the baseball scenes are classic, but there's one shot in particular of Glenn Close where they spent all day, they involved all kinds of NASA scientists. I don't know if they were actually with NASA, but they actually had scientists come out and figure out where the shaft of light coming down out of the stands. There's a scene where Robert Redford hits a big home run, and they wanted to have Glenn Close, this big shaft of actual natural sunlight hitting her, and they had to do it. They had to place her in the stands where the shaft would be at a certain time of day, and they did it, and it's Hollywood magic, and you see it, and it's the kind of thing that you can't fake on film. It's not even one that you could really bring in a bunch of lights into. It's the kind of thing that only natural sunlight coming through a tunnel and shining on a woman in the crowd at just the right time, at just the right angle, for just the right shot, in just the right movie. It's that kind of filmmaking that makes that, and that's just one shot in this considered great Hollywood classic of The Natural. Robert Redford's performance, the guy that doesn't get to the big leagues until much later in life, so he actually appreciates where he is. It's not just the rich millionaire player, it is the guy living out his childhood dream. So, for all those reasons, The Natural is number 7 on my list. Surprisingly not higher in some respects, but the other films that are higher on the list as well have reasons for being where they are. Other thoughts on The Natural?
We said it all. It's go back. I mean, some of the films I have on my list talk about baseball that takes place back in the 40s, the 20s, the 30s, and the 50s. That's the golden age of baseball.